And I'm delighted to say this with Saygin Yalcin, the founder and chief executive of SellAnyCar.com. He is also a professor of entrepreneurship at the Canadian University of Dubai, and he was the founder of SellAnyCar.com, one of the pioneers of e-commerce here in the region, until he sold it to Souk.com. Saygin, a very good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Thanks for having me again.
I was reading your biography and your achievements last night to prepare for this interview, and I thought you should be about 106 years old given all you've achieved, but you only turned 30 a couple of weeks ago. So, Mabruk, congratulations on everything you've achieved. Listen, I want to focus on Summer School for Startups. It's all about talking to guys like you and the lessons you've learned, and we've asked you to distill all of your experience, your entrepreneurship experience and your teaching experience into 5 or 6 lessons. And you've come up, which is interesting, 6 questions that entrepreneurs should ask, which is interesting. Let's go through them very quickly and then in a bit more detail.
Sure.
Do you have an entrepreneurial spirit? How to evaluate the potential of an idea? Which team do you need? What are the numbers behind it? How is it going to pay for it? Or who is going to pay for it? And finally, how to run a startup. Let's look at number 1. Do you have entrepreneurial spirit? How do you answer that question?
Well, that is one of the main questions you ask before you even decide to go into entrepreneurship or not. So a lot of people ask me, well, are you born an entrepreneur, or can you actually learn it, or have you been forced into it, or is there some kind of way to identify that? And the first question is, do I really want to do it? So that's the question behind it. Is there an entrepreneurial spirit inside you? Basically, how to find out is either you've actually been born to it. That could be like a family background, or you could have circles like friends or extended circles which are actually entrepreneurs, and you actually became interested into that, or you have been educated into it. Could be in university, or could be in the business network you're working in, or it could be really out of necessity where you say, I have to build my own business to survive. So this is the spirit behind it before you even decide to go for it or not.
And it's interesting, those different perspectives. Guys, we've had on this show over the past couple of weeks. We had Mike Atack, founder of Atack Training and Coaching. He said he launched his own business because he became unemployable in his early 50s, and he's had a very successful company. He was half joking. And then we had someone like Taimur Hack, who was in the studio a couple of weeks ago, or about 10 days ago, and he worked with Gallup on something called the Entrepreneurial Strengths Finder, and they take a much more rigorous scientific approach to self-psychological analysis to find out those strengths. And I guess you've got a foot in both camps, and that's why I'm so interested in your thoughts, Saygin. You've been there at the coalface as an entrepreneur, made the mistakes, made it work, but you also have that academic approach. You teach entrepreneurship. So in 30 seconds, if someone's driving along and thinking, do I quit my day job with Unilever to set up a fast-moving consumer goods company, or do I stick with the big multinational? Specifically, what kind of questions should people be asking themselves?
And first, that's the major question. It's the jump question. Shall I go into it and jump into the cold water? The question here is, what is the idea you're actually jumping for? Is it worth it? And the point is, it's the idea evaluation you need to come up with.
And that takes us on to our second point, isn't it? First, you've got to figure out if you've got the stomach for this. And many great people are not born entrepreneurs and do great work in multinationals, and that is fantastic. Point number 2, how to evaluate the potential of your idea. Go for it.
So, does it solve a problem? That's the number 1 question you ask yourself. The idea, a lot of people come up with ideas which solves their problems, but does it actually solve a massive problem which is profitably scalable? That's very important. And the second one, which brings me to the point, is is it profitably scalable? Like, a lot of ideas actually become big, but they could never turn profitable, because the third point is the monetization strength is not good enough, meaning the business itself, there's no way to make money with it. It's very difficult to make money, so the monetization strength is low.
Well, give us some examples from your experience. The 2, I guess, that stand out are SellAnyCar.com, the online portal that you sold to the big beast, the Amazon of this part of the world, Souk.com. How did you go from having an idea to launch SellAnyCar.com to a business plan, launching it, and then selling it to a big rival?
Well, SellAnyCar.com is a private shopping club, and this model was actually proven outside our region already. So there were a lot of business models similar to this, or the exact business model, which has proven to be successful. So for us, it was just a question of why hasn't it been implemented in the Middle East yet? For us, it was a black box. So when we researched about the numbers and found out there is a huge internet penetration, it's growing, but the supply side, the internet ventures are not enough, we thought it must work, or it's just a matter of time. And then we faced, of course, infrastructural challenges, logistical and operational challenges in the beginning, because this industry itself is new. But then we were the first ones to enjoy the benefits of this new industry, and it worked out.
And how do you go from a good idea, spotting something that works internationally, setting it up here, and then making it successful so that someone like Jabba or Souk.com can come along and buy it? Because that's what every young tech startup would dream of, but you actually got them to do it.
So I actually founded my first company in Germany back then, which was a supplier to shopping clubs. So I understood the business model really well before I actually came here to Dubai and started off. How it worked is I was working with different investment groups before, and we were evaluating business ideas, and one of them was Jabbar Internet Group. So we sat in Dubai, analyzed the numbers, and then I convinced the venture capitalists to give me the initial funding. On the other hand, I convinced the potential team to join me, because it was something like a balance act on both sides. You had to convince the team that you have the money already. You have to convince the venture capitalists that you have the team already. So at one point of time, it was borderline lying.
Smoke and mirrors. I appreciate your honesty. We've had a number of SMSs in about your second venture, or well, it's not your second venture, but the other high-profile venture in Dubai, SellAnyCar.com.
Right.
Two SMSs I'm going to put to you. Tarek writes in, I didn't know this was a real company. I got an email from SellAnyCar.com. I thought it was spam. Maybe this is something to do with the name. He says, I mean, no offense to the owner. I'm just making my point. So Tarek, thanks for that. Someone else writes in saying SellAnyCar.com are preying on desperate people by offering unrealistically low prices. The person doesn't put their name on that text message. So tell us about SellAnyCar.com, why you decided that there was a problem that needed to be solved, and how you do that ethically.
So SellAnyCar.com solves the problem of the broken experience of selling used cars in the region, and I was one of the victims before I started this venture. It took me 4 to 6 weeks until I actually could sell my car, and more importantly, I had to meet 19 strangers before I actually could sell my car. I took the risk, and I didn't know of any paperwork involved in selling used cars and where I could get a fair and fast price. So again, it was research to find out that there is a business model which really solves this issue.
And again, it was a proven model from somewhere else in the world.
Exactly. It was a proven model. We basically saw that it made sense. It made sense to establish it in the region. So our first year of success actually is proof that the need exists in the market.
What kind of turnover do you do? How many cars are sold to you every day, for example?
So we can actually already claim that we have most appointment requests for free car inspection, what SellAnyCar does, and actually selling cars in the entire region. We have grown to one of the largest used car traders in the region already.
Can you give me a number in terms of how many cars a year you're doing?
I can give you numbers, for example, that we have now over 200,000 people who have registered with us, over 400,000 valuations done online, and actually up to 500 appointment requests per day. So these are numbers, if you compare it in the industry, which cannot be even touched by the huge conglomerates.
Can you tell me how many cars, for example, you bought and sold last month?
Well,
you could tell me, but then you'd have to shoot me.
No, actually, my contracts, which have non-disclosure agreements, would probably be breached.
Okay, fine. 2 points on SellAnyCar.com. One is the question that came in. You are preying on desperate people by offering unrealistically low prices.
So,
how do you respond to that?
So the first question I would like to go for is to create trust and have a face. And actually, as an internet company, you're really facing these issues that people don't know if you're a real company or not until you prove it by being in malls, by showing faces, by being in the press, by having offline checks. I wrote bridge banners, so it shows really that we are there, and we are actually there in 9 locations within the country. We have over 50 employees who are with us now within the first 10 months. So actually, we are here to stay, first of all. And I believe this is a very great point, that there is this challenge, the first one internet ventures have, to become real or show that you're real. The second question is in terms of pricing. So what we have seen is that there is a misunderstanding in what certain customers believe as market value and what the actual market value is. And what SellAnyCar.com does is it stops wasting people's times. And this is what I come from. I am a consumer, and the reason why SellAnyCar exists is because I have seen that the expectations you see on certain classifieds are completely out of range. So what we do is we show you an instant valuation on the website, which basically tells you, guys, this is what you can expect approximately if we can assume these assumptions, if they are right. And then it's up to the consumer to decide, I will sell this car within 30 minutes, approximately at this price, or I can keep on trying to find the price or realize this price I actually thought.
We're running very short of time, Saygin.
Yeah.
How do you sell your cars, and what kind of margin can you achieve?
So what we do is we buy cars C2B, as described, from consumers, but we don't sell them back to the public. We're selling them to businesses we have agreements with. These could be any kind of traders, could be any kind of automotive company who is interested in buying fleets. So we're solving the industry's problem on that side as well. So it goes on to razor-thin margins, but because we have bulk deals and volume deals, we can justify our business.
We're almost out of time, Saygin. You came up with your 6 questions entrepreneurs should ask themselves. Do you have entrepreneurial spirit? How to evaluate the potential of idea? How are you going to finance it? Can it make money? All valid stuff. Leave us with the one question or the one point that you would advise a budding entrepreneur, or that you advise your students at Canadian University of Dubai. If there's just one thing, the most important thing, what is it?
It's difficult to say, but I would focus. That's it. Focus is the word. So if you have decided to do it, then just focus on it.
Saygin, it's been fascinating talking to you. Really appreciate you joining us today. Thanks very much indeed. Saygin Yalcin is the founder and chief executive of SellAnyCar.com, and it's kind of you to join us on School for Startups and share your experience and your insights.